Okay, hello and welcome everyone to our New Moon 2020 Cycle 12 stream, also known as Blood Moon number 2. So this is going to be our first stream for the second Blood Moon that we have. And so to briefly explain how this is going to work out, so Blood Moon is a 2-week tournament with the round robin stage happening during the first week, and then Top Cut will be happening starting tomorrow. Okay, so before we start, Blood Moon is a round robin weekly tournament. So the way it works is that after the tournament starts, we have public setups, which means that players are able to see what other players are playing, which is why we're going to be going through setups before the match. So to explain how okay, so to explain what the players will be going through in their mind before the match starts. And yeah, so after Blood Moon there's going to be I believe 4 weeks break, and then New Moon's going to start again. After that, more information will be announced in Discord, so make sure to join. The link should be in chat now. Okay, so going to be joining me on commentary is Neryth.
Hey guys, it's good to be here, and I'm excited to cast some of these fantastic matches with playerzero.
Alright, well let's head right into the first one, which will be Symes vs SoulXCross.
So it's pretty interesting. It's a Gregor versus Gregor matchup, but they are very different setups. You can see that even though they both have the same Giga kernel force, Symes has opted for an extremely beefy, extremely chonky Mega Man right here. This is 2200 base HP Mega Man. He's got the 2 recovery 300 O's as well, so all in all it's 2800 HP that his opponent will have to chew through most likely. To offset a little bit, he only has 2 impis and 2 anti-damage, whereas you can pack a maximum of 3 each. So he has a little bit less defense than normal. But with this amount of HP, it's extremely daunting. You have to really make sure that your chip usage is efficient and that you're landing your most important damage sources on him.
Yeah, and he's also running the 2 Holy Panels and Sanctuary, so that's something we don't really see as often, but it can be very valuable as defense.
That is true. So Sanctuary is fairly common as a splash defensive option. It has extremely good utility. It can be an endgame tool to just close out the game, make sure your opponent can't break through life aura, can't do enough damage to finish you off. And it also restores your panels, so at the same time it's basically a panel return. So there's a lot of utility there. So it's very common to see that. But what's very strange about the setup is the 2 holy panels. So holy panel basically just creates a single holy panel directly in front of you. This gives you a little bit of movement options if you've been get-end, or you're otherwise just locked onto a single cell, but the holy panel doesn't protect you in the sense that it's very easy for your opponent to destroy the panel if they have Dust Cross still available to them. If they have any panel cracking effects still available to them, then the holy panel's value is greatly diminished. But if your opponent has very limited sources of that, then the holy panel value basically just increases exponentially.
Yeah, and another interesting thing to point out is that he is running bug fix. So looking at his Navicost, he doesn't really have any very bad bugs. So the only bugs he has are HP bug and Buster bug. But deciding to run bug fix is probably a way to protect himself from the uninstalled damage bug stacking up.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that he opted for that instead of any other defense, but I think that is the right call. Basically, if you do the math for it, because he's running a double slow gauge folder, and one of those slow gauges is reg.
Yeah.
So that damage from the HP bug is going to stack up over time. It is going to be significant, most likely. So having bug fix available, even though he doesn't have any, I would say, really seriously impairing bugs like Cust Bug, or Warp Step, making him unable to center himself, stuff like that, it's still the right call, essentially. So he has the K-code natty chips, Erase Man EX and Erase Man SP, as well as Erase Man, just normal Erase Man. So he's got a lot of cursor, and it's going to be hard for Falzar players to deal with him, but luckily for Soul, he is playing Gregar. And on Gregar's, on Soul side, we do have a pretty standard Gregar setup. It's got Air Shoes and then Buster stats, 500 HP. It doesn't have Beat, but it does have Rush, and it's a Cust +1 setup. Both setups are Cust +1. So Gregar setups, they tend to be mono code a lot more often because they tend to want to have stuff like Air Shoes or higher HP so that they can brute force a matchup more and rely on Buster stats instead of having more chips available to them. So keeping a code or keeping a folder mono code helps them just go through the folder. They don't have to, pick very few chips sometimes. So it is L code, so it has the Bubble Star combo with Elect Dragon. It has Magnums and has uninstall. There isn't anything huge to uninstall off of Symes though, other than essentially just the super armor. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out.
Yeah, and so Soul is playing a lot of chips that can break panels, so we see the 2 Elect Dragons, 3 Magnums, and the 2 Geddons as well, while Symes, a bit unusually, doesn't have Air Shoes or Float Shoes options that Gregar tends to like. So going to see how Symes tries to hold onto his Sanctuary, how he's going to play his options to try to reduce the damage from all of these breaking chips.
Yeah, I mean, it's also both players want to go into slow gauge. They both have slow gauge regged. The only difference being that Symes has 2 slow gauges in this folder. So this is definitely going to come down to, I think, I don't want to put it like this, but luck of the draw in terms of guessing each other's crosses, but also having the right options available to counter those crosses or to protect themselves during those extremely long slow gauge turns. So whoever can figure out what his opponent is going to be doing that turn, and then also playing towards his own offensive options, is probably going to be able to take these matches.
Alright, yeah, let's head into the match and see how it plays out. Okay, so we can already see the difference in HP between both players. Symes also having the 2 Recovery 300s in his folder, giving him a huge HP lead, almost 1000 effective HP over Soul.
Yeah, and you can see this turn 1 Life Aura draw as well. It's going to be extremely powerful because it's a Gregar versus Gregar matchup. Even though it's an ice field with ice cubes on it, Soul doesn't have the option of sucking up those ice cubes. Otherwise, they would do 200 damage, which is just enough to break the Life Aura. But unfortunately, he's going to have to depend on either his Wind Rack draw, which he only has 1 of in his folder, or Elect Dragons boosted by Elect Cross.
Yeah, so Elect Cross gives plus 50 to real-time Elect chips, so we'll see if Soul's able to utilize that.
Ooh, so this is a rough situation for Symes.
Looks like Soul doesn't have any way of dealing with that Life Aura, so he's just going to have to wait to get that Geddon out and then go into the next turn. I hope he has an answer for next turn.
So you can see the slow and steady damage output coming out from Symes here. Just depending on the Gregor crosses and their extremely potent charge shots. And Soul kind of getting locked out of doing any damage that turn due to the life aura.
So
the fact that he had the bubble star, it did make me think that he had the Elect Dragon to follow up on the turn, but unfortunately he did not. Oh, but Symes has the perfect answer to this.
Symes had the option of going into Race Beast that time because he had a good number of nunchucks, but looks like he's all holding on to Beast, especially with the value that Beast Out has with Q-Force.
Here's the Race Beast coming out, or maybe not. You can see that Symes did take the Poison Seed, which is I think it's a very good idea when you're running double slow gauge. The damage from Poison Seed racks up quite heavily over the course of the game. Ooh. So if Soul can land this will remove the Holy Panels.
That was really unfortunate. And the TFC.
No. That TFC chain was extremely unfortunate for Soul as well. He lost his life aura.
Yeah, losing life aura is very bad in that situation, and he had more than enough area grabs to take all the area. He didn't really need to throw away that life aura.
Yeah, this should have been a turn where Soul could equalize the HP a bit, but losing his life aura, it really hurts. So instead of bringing Symes' HP down and preserving his own, both of their HP has been dragged down quite a bit, but Soul is much closer to death right here at 69 HP.
I think even if Q-Force comes out from Soul, he doesn't have quite enough damage with these Holy Panels, but now the Grab Revenge might be what finishes off that first game, yeah. And that was quick game one actually, with Symes taking up the lead from the beginning, being able to basically survive long enough and take the advantage from the start.
Yeah, and I think you can see what I mean when I say luck of the draw in terms of a turn 1 life aura with only Cust +1. That is very lucky. But at the same time, Soul not being able to pull Elect Dragon turn 1, not being able to pull his Wind Rack, or at least not having those answers to life aura ready on the first turn, that is also quite unfortunate for Soul.
Okay, so now we see that Symes has the Sanctuary turn 1, so if an end of turn Gideon comes out, then he has the answer to that next turn. So we'll see. He doesn't really want to hold on to it for too long, again because of the low custom that he has and it being the only chip that he has in Z code. So we'll see how he ends up playing it out.
I think it might actually be okay to hold it, just because of the fact that he has the significant HP lead at the start. Oh no, he's gonna have to burn it before the end of the turn for sure now, with life aura out in the field for Soul. Symes is gonna have to punch in an answer to it.
Yeah, I think he didn't actually pick it into the turn, he just had it in his custom.
Oh, did he not carry it into the I see, okay. But it looks like he's... Oh, he does have a Wind Rack here. This is the perfect response to his life aura. Unfortunately, he had to throw away those last two chips.
Ooh. Unfortunately, that judgment will miss, but we saw that Elect Dragon doing a lot of damage. Now Sanctuary comes out. Sol has done a lot of damage already, I think about 1000 damage, which brings them to only 10 HP difference.
Yeah, Soul has done about 1300, whereas Symes has done about 600. So Soul has done about twice the damage to Symes, but the initial HP difference was so much that they're basically just at the same HP right now.
Let's see if that race man SP is going to connect.
Oh, Magnum.
And
Ooh, but at least the Erase Man SP does not manage to connect. Soul does step down in time.
their HP is very close. Symes deciding to start with the defense in case of an Raceman at the start of turn, but I think he might want to go into Beast Out just to try to get the confirmed damage.
This is a very dangerous turn for both of them. If either player has a Kernel Force, then this would be the end of the match right here.
Sol could end up going into Beast Out, but looks like he decided against that. Ooh. The Holy Panel.
This is the Holy Panel.
That's going to be really big for Symes, giving him 3 hits before yeah, no, Sol can't really afford to stand in front of Charger, and that will quickly finish off the game.
Yeah, so you can really see the strength of this 2200 HP Buster-oriented setup from Symes. And you have to keep in mind, neither player even managed to reach their Giga, right?
Yeah.
Kernel Force did not come up.
Yeah, and
So it was an extremely bloody match, an extremely bloody set between these two Gregor players. But this is what happens when you have double slow gauge, when both players just want to slow gauge as soon as possible. The amount of damage coming out from Buster shots is just insane.
yeah, exactly. And although Sol had all of these ways of breaking panels, Symes was able to very carefully play around it and deny it basically every time it happened. So that was very nice to see. But yeah, well played to both sides.
Yep, well played.
Alright, let's head into our next match, which is luckytyphlosion vs Disco.
So this is a Gregor versus Falzarn matchup. Lucky is playing a W code essentially. His cust is quite strange. It is a cust 3 setup in Gregor. You don't usually see that. And what he chose to give up was actually the attack max. Instead, he has 3 attack +1 components in there. So he does not have attack max.
Yeah,
does have charge max, but
I think this is basically the solid cast, but has float shoes instead of speed.
that is true. Yeah, it is just replacing it. It was a 1400 HP setup.
Which is very interesting. I don't think I've seen Gregor players try going with that route, since this is usually used for Falzar.
Yes, that is true. So it is interesting because most Gregor players end up, even though cust is so important in determining the flow of your folder, in determining what chips you have access to. Usually Gregor players decide that cust 1 or cust 2 is adequate. Going for cust 3, it does increase your options by quite a bit, so we'll see what Lucky manages to do with that. And you can see that he has the Magnum summon the black 3s. He has no Geddons, it looks like, in order to use those summon black 3s, so it's going to be up to breaking panels with the Magnums, or using natural holes on the field, or the Groundman SP in his case. He's running the 2 Wind Racks, and he has the 1 Slow Gauge, so...
I think otherwise it's basically a usual Gregor build. You see area grabs, 2 recoveries, we see that Sanctuary again. The one Greg Buster up because he has attack +4 instead of attack max, so that Buster up will complete that.
Yeah, it's an interesting trade-off, using your Raglan dat and managing to squeeze out the extra cust in your Navi cust. And yeah, his Kernel Force, his Giga is Kernel Force, of course.
Yeah.
And on the other side we have Disco's setup, which I believe is a Chip Shuffle setup.
Don't see those very often.
Yeah, Chip Shuffle is it's a very fun Navi cust piece to use, but it also has its downsides, so I've tried to make it work before as well, but usually I end up deciding it's just not worth it.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see how Disco manages to use it, and whether or not he can get value out of it. What's really interesting is that his folder is not very clunky to begin with. It is going to help him reach his hub batch, reach his bug fix, and piece together maybe his 2 program advances.
Oh yeah, he also is running Bodyguard.
Yes, so he has both Bodyguard and Best Pulse, but I don't think there's any way for him to confirm the Bodyguard. He would have to use Paralysis from one of his Navi chips, or possibly just rely on Gaddon. It's an interesting folder, but it has a lot of utility in it, and not that much damage. So you can see that there's a 3 Wind Racks, right? That's a very interesting to run that in Balzar. Especially when there's not too much to combo them into, because each of the pulses is already going to go into Dust Pulse. He's running Barrier 200 and Life Aura, so it is going to be a lot of defense for him, perhaps to compensate for the fact that he doesn't have anti-damage, other than the one that would go into Bodyguard. So it's interesting. It's a very utility-oriented setup with not so much damage.
Yeah, he also, if he ends up lacking damage, he does have that bug fix and Buster Bug. So that's an option for the long game, especially with Hub Badge, that you can try to go for.
That is true. The double element trap is worth noting as well. I believe in my match versus him, he managed to get a ×2 element trap, although I'm not sure if it ever triggered. So that is 480 damage, right? Element trap's base damage is 240, so it is significant, but a lot of the damage in this folder is reliant on stuff like the element trap, stuff like Bodyguard.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out versus Lucky.
Alright, let's head into the match. Okay, so we see that Red Buster up, we see that turn 1 Sanctuary as well, though I guess in this situation, Disco wouldn't necessarily go into Dust turn 1 because he has Chip Shuffle. So maybe going Sanctuary turn 1 isn't as bad as usual. Though there is that Geddon, so Lucky will probably want to hold on to.
Yeah, I was just about to say, he does have Geddon. I mean, he doesn't have very much cuss to work with, so the odds that he pulls the Geddon aren't great, but it depends on whether or not you want to take that risk.
Ooh, Spout Cross. That's interesting. Guess he might have been expecting Charge to come out or Heat.
It is grass field, or at least mostly grass field, so that was a good guess.
Ah.
Looks like Lucky misses the Spoutman SP. There's one column too far. The Element Trap triggers.
Actually, was that turn 1 Hub Badge?
I believe it was.
Ooh, okay, so that's something only possible with Chip Shuffle. Because the way the game works is that you can't get your Giga as one of your first 10 chips. So it can be from chip 11 and afterwards. But with Chip Shuffle, it randomly goes through your folder. So that's the only way you can get Habash turn 1.
So it's very interesting that both players are just playing this kind of this neutral game. They don't really have, well, in Disco's case, he doesn't really have any offensive chips to normally just throw out to begin with. And in Lucky's case, he didn't manage to pull Magnums or something black.
Ooh.
Oh, and suddenly it's a very blinding field. Disco regains his area with the use of Judge Man.
Then full cost comes out, so that will burn 1 turn for Beast out for Lucky.
Yeah, this is an awkward situation for Lucky. So he's in the middle of charging his Erase Tail.
He's debating if he wants to keep the same hand or take new chips. So this is one thing that a lot of people don't know about, but if you go into the turn while you still have chips in your hand, as long as you don't take any new chips or beast out, then you will keep what you had in hand.
Yeah, that's true. The end of the turn might not be the end of those chips in your hand. You always have that option.
So it looks like Lucky is taking new chips, maybe to prioritize removing these holy panels. Ooh. And then Element Man. Okay. Looks like Disco had the confidence that he would be able to finish off the game with his higher HP and his advantage, so he wanted to start pressuring by removing the full Sanctuary. Let's see, and looks like I had the anti-damage up.
Yeah, so Disco did choose to use the bodyguard parts separately. Both the anti-navi and the anti-damage have been used now. Which is, I think, the right decision to make here when you don't really have anything to confirm it, right? Disco does not have uninstall to remove super armor. And on top of that, Lucky is in Beast, so... And Geddon as well, you would have to somehow land that. Ooh, so Death Pulse comes out. That was a multi-pulse turn. But Lucky does have Eternal Force.
There it is. Doing a lot of damage. Unfortunately missed out on the Wind Rack. And And now Lucky is under blind, so it's going to be a bit more difficult to confirm his charge shots and land these magnums.
He's even got that cussed HP bug ticking down on him. He's got to make his choices very quickly here.
Ooh. Aha. That wasn't quite the right position, let's see. Some flag. Okay, looks like that will remove the life aura.
And slow gauge getting dropped at the end of the turn there as well. So Lucky has pulled his life aura, but you have to keep in mind that Disco has 3 wind racks in his corner, so what are the odds that he carries one to this turn? Judgment SP comes out, gives Disco his area back.
That's...
Oh! Yeah, there comes the wind rack, it removes the life aura. Ooh! It lands into a P shot at the end there. And that was the double damage lance, 300 damage.
Yeah, getting decrossed by Lance is rough. Okay, now we're heading into game 2, so now Lucky expects that full cost to come out at some point, so he knows maybe to avoid going to Beast out straight away, trying to play around it. I think this is one of the very common mind games, you can call it, that happens in full cost Strike vs Gregor, especially with Bug the Thunder, which we don't see in this tournament.
Yeah, it's true. You really don't want to lose a full turn to full cost as a Gregor Beast. You really want the maximum amount of time to chip charge and take down your opponent. So Lucky goes into Slash right at the start here. Bug fix from Disco, turn 1. That's very lucky with well, maybe he had the chip shuffle to get it, but
Okay, nice.
Magnum comes out. Ooh, so doesn't manage to use the Judge Man at the end there. So Lucky was hoping for an area lock on Disco, managing to get that full area grab would simply allow him to land every single charge shot as Slash. But Disco is very stubbornly hugging the front. With his 1900 HP, he feels somewhat comfortable in tanking some damage right off the bat. He does have a single recovery 300 as well.
Yeah.
Ooh, and now Lucky's gonna have to watch out. Element Man Grass comes out from Lucky.
And full cost straight away. I think in this situation, Lucky would have wanted to wait a bit more on the Sanctuary, because now Disco can go into Beast Out and then use his chip charges to both break panels and pressure the decross.
Yeah, this is definitely a rough situation for Lucky, and Lucky is choosing to stay in SoulXCross here as well.
Okay, looks like Disco decided to go into Tomahawk instead and uses Element Man to deal with Sanctuary.
Ooh. Oh. This ground menace piece can be extremely painful. Every hit is times 2.
Yeah.
Lucky loses his his SoulXCross there, and a huge chunk of HP as well. So now you see why Disco went into Tomahawk at the start of the turn. He did not want the tiny amount of amplified damage from the charge shot, from Dust Charge Shot. He was aiming for the really big hit there with Grandman SP.
Yeah, now this is going to be very rough for Lucky. He doesn't have the appropriate defense or recovery, because if Disco has Elec Pulse 2 into a Moondrag or something like that, then that can very quickly finish off the game.
Yeah, I mean, Disco doesn't have Rush, so this Invis will go through, but the Invis will not protect against any of the pulses.
Yeah.
And I mean, at this point, you can go into charge or heat, but Disco doesn't really care about Tomahawk.
Yeah. Okay, looks like Beast Out is coming, so probably see Beast Rush combos. Actually, maybe Disco doesn't have any, because otherwise he would have used it already, or at least he might not have. Yeah, it looks like he took a defensive turn. Interesting. Ooh, Bodyguard actually, and that finished off the game.
Wow, so that was a Bodyguard finish.
Okay, well, I guess I really didn't expect to see that, because Bodyguard is very difficult to try to get to confirm with how many things can remove it. So that was very well played from Disco.
Yeah, well played to both players there. Disco did manage to come out ahead. I think just that Groundman SP was so pivotal in the second match there.
Yeah.
But I do think Lucky maybe overstayed his welcome in SoulXCross. That was really just inviting danger.
I guess
especially considering he was most likely to lose the SoulXCross to Dust Cross anyways. Choosing to stay in Slash really opened up the possibilities for Disco.
Yeah, it is really tempting to stay at Slash, especially when it's the highest DPS out of all of the Gregar crosses. So, and the area grabs were there to encourage that. So, but that ended up being the wrong decision, as you explained, and got Lucky punished for that.
Yeah, you can see that after losing SoulXCross and taking all that damage, that Lucky switched into Elec Cross, which is I think a close second in terms of DPS. But it was just too late. He had lost too much HP from that Grandman SP. But well played to both players there. That was an interesting set.
Yeah, definitely. Now we'll be heading into our next match with SoulXCross vs Thiago.
So we have seen Soul set up already. It's the Gregar L code, fairly standard setup. On the other hand, we have Thiago, which we have not seen yet. He's playing Falzar, and this is an attack max Falzar, 900 or 1900 HP. This looks quite interesting.
Yeah, so we see.
So it is a bugged setup, I believe, and it has static in it, so it is going to have the extra area for static. And it's a single wood dragon, a single heat dragon here, and there's uninstall as well to go with them. This is Buster Up.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, this. I mean, so you see the attack max, and it's already a little bit suspect, but yeah, you see the 4 Buster Ups, and then Hop Dash, right? So this is quite an interesting setup. He has a single Geddon and a slow gauge, but he also has a full cust. So this is, I think Buster Up setups like this are very interesting, because you want to get through your early turns so that you can draw stuff like Bug Fix and Hub Dash and all your Buster Ups, right? So you really want to go through the early turns as fast as possible and reach the critical chips in your folder.
Yeah.
And then you want to pop your slow gauge, and you just want to duke it out with your opponent. You want to brawl and just spam your buster and get your buster jam procs on them. So he has all the tools that he really needs, I think, in the uninstall, right? Uninstall, the elemental coverage from Heat and Wood Dragon, static as well, threatening against potential Erase Cross and Erase Beast. Full Cust helps him deal with, possibly will help him deal with slow gauge beast turns a little bit better as well. Ground on SP to check SoulXCross. He just has a lot of tools to deal with the threats, especially the DPS oriented threats to him. And 1900 HP with 2 recovery 300s, that is nothing to scoff at either. That's 2500 HP total. So this is a very dangerous setup to play against because it's a very strange setup, right? In terms of I guess like its tempo and how its chip usage comes out and what you have to watch out for. It's very different from, let's say, Soul's Soul setup on the other hand.
Yeah.
Because Soul has these combos. He has Bubble Star into Elect Dragon, he has the Magnums to break it up, and then he's relying on his charge shots a lot. But the pacing for these two setups, it will be interesting to see how it plays out.
Yeah, definitely. And I think another thing to watch out for is the uninstall. So for Thiago, he can just try to use the uninstall as soon as possible, as long as he can try to make it connect, because Soul has air shoes, and being able to deny that and confirm that Geddon can be very big in trying to get Buster proc.
That is true. A single turn of Geddon Buster Jam procs being thrown into your face, that the damage really adds up.
Yeah, well, whereas Soul has uninstall as well, but we see that Thiago's running Hub Badge. So Soul's probably going to want to hold on to his uninstall until after we see that Hub Badge come out to try to remove the air shoes.
So the one silver lining for Soul here is that Thiago does not have any area grabs, so at the very least Soul isn't going to be pressured by that. But that's hardly a silver lining at all, because Thiago does have 2 grab banishes, so that still covers him against SoulXCross. And what can Soul really do with an area advantage, right? If he goes into SoulXCross, again, that opens him up to Groundman SP, and we saw how painful that can be for just in that last set with Lucky versus Disco. So Soul's going to have to watch which cross he goes into and how he plays these turns very carefully, because the counter damage from Thiago could be too much to bear, especially without any recoveries on Soul's end.
Yeah, Soul will really be looking to try to get that early D-cross, denying Dust Shoot from being able to help Thiago with finding his bug fix, because that's basically the main chip that Thiago is looking for. That enables his Buster Bug, and that allows him to basically complete his combo.
Yeah, the Dust Cross and Full Cust early, that is going to be a very predictable path for Thiago. If Soul can pull his Magnums early, that would be a really big help in stopping Thiago from digging through his folder.
Alright, well, let's head into the match and see how it plays out.
Ooh, and this is unfortunate. He did not manage to pull any Magnums. On top of that, he doesn't have Erase Man either, so he's not going to have any options to shut down this Dust Dig.
And it looks like Soul is going for Charge Cross because of these grass panels, but that is an interesting pick, because against Falzar Dust, you usually want to start with Erase. Try to get the maximum advantage out of Erase Beast with D-crossing.
It's true, but at the same time, Thiago does have that single static. So it is a difficult matchup for sure for Soul here. Because Thiago just has the answer to so many of the crosses that Soul might want to be in.
Actually, we've mentioned Buster bug a few times, but I don't think we actually explained how that works. Do you want to try to go through that?
Sure. So I don't use bug setups very often. I'm not a big fan of them, but to the best of my understanding, the Buster bug is something that it basically clogs your Buster, but it also gives you a chance for your Buster shots to fire a fully charged shot instead. So what ends up happening though is that all of your non-clogged shots end up being charged shots. So the higher level your Buster bug, the more charged shots you get, the more fully charged shots you get out of Buster bug. And once you bug fix, all of your shots are gonna be coming out regardless of whether they're clogged or not. But what it does is it increases your damage from just spamming the Buster quite significantly, as especially with Buster ups, you end up doing up to 100 damage per shot. And with attack 10, even a single P shot will break anti-damage. Ooh, so you see Soul's offense this turn is going to be shut down, and it is a very long turn, it's slow gauge. So he's just going to be spending his time dodging these. Yeah, this life aura from Thiago is very effective.
Ooh. And no Windrax either. Windrax would have been ideal, especially with these two area grabs. But then again, there is no defense for Soul, so this could be very risky.
I thought it was interesting that Thiago chose to start fishing for the Buster Jam procs instead of just continuing to fire charge shots, as he could have gotten the double damage there. Ooh, so it's Judgment SP. It's gonna pop the anti-damage here. Bug fix coming up from Thiago. And it looks like he's gonna block this Judgment.
I don't think we've seen how much, so these broken panels can be very big in allowing Soul to connect his charge shots.
That's true, but you see these trades are not one-sided. You see the Buster Jam coming out basically once every single time Soul steps onto the same row to trade charge shots. So Thiago is definitely taking more damage, but Soul is still taking about half as much back.
And now we see that Q force at the top of the turn. If Soul's able to connect that maximum area, then that will be more than enough damage to finish off the game. Thiago could have Geddon, could have the last Invis, or even the grab banishes to try to gain back the area.
Ooh, so this is Tomahawk. It will protect from the status, at least. Oh, and Groundman SP. This could be good for Thiago.
That doesn't break any of the panels.
Oh, wow. Thiago manages to avoid so much of that damage.
Yeah, then... Buster Shot's finishing off the game at the very end there. I think Thiago didn't have any way of getting air shoes, so maybe using Geddon trying to survive into the next turn would have been the play for Soul, but would have been very rough to try to come back, especially with the highest DPS. Basically the most damaging chip from Soul going away being Colonel Force. Yeah, looks like this time Soul decided to go with the race play.
He is going to have to watch out for the static, but also potentially the wind rack as well. After all, Falzar does not have to hold on to Wind Racks. They can just freely use them to combo as long as they have Tengu in your pocket.
And unfortunately, Sol doesn't actually have that many chips to charge. He only has 2, which can end up missing or being blocked by defense.
Yeah, so first he's going to have to buster down this fast barrier. And then he's going to have to hope that his opponent doesn't draw a life aura.
Tengu coming out already, so that might mean static is coming out as well. Grandman SP connecting. I think as Sol, maybe using area grab just to try to protect yourself from potential static would have been better. But I'm not really sure.
This has to be frustrating as Gregor. You just see that Thiago is not afraid of this game, of just playing with his buster. And Sol is on the losing end of this.
So going to the stance of taking front-loaded damage. Ooh, that life aura coming out a bit too late after that damage coming down.
Ooh, so he does manage to destroy the life aura with that erase tail. And he even gets another erase tail onto Thiago, but now Invis comes out for Thiago, and it's just a turn of Buster Jam proc fishing for Thiago. Looks like he got, I think, 2.
Looks like we can see Q-Force in hand and 2 Geddons, but unfortunately with these permahuls, the maximum advantage of Q-Force is going to be lower. Ooh, a bit too early on the wind track. Just waiting out that invis. Q-Force comes out and that was the perfect area. So waiting and ooh, finishing off. The luck of undershot there.
That Slash Beast chip charge actually killing Thiago at the end there. He never managed to draw his hub batch.
Full cost coming out straight away in turn 1. I think it's interesting seeing full cost coming out so early because Thiago knows that Sol is playing 3 Magnums and that Erase Man, so the potential of getting decrossed early is very high, so taking the safer play with using full cost straight away instead of gambling and trying to extend it for 1 extra turn might be worth it. Judgment connected there, but Sol was holding on to his area grab, so now he's going to end with plus area.
Sol now has all of this area advantage, but immediately gets taken away from him. Yeah, banish sends him back.
But this decross can be very big, and now Sol, all he has to do is just wait for it to time out. It will be confirmed to hit in the 2nd position.
Ooh, so there is this panel that is safe for Thiago.
Yeah.
At the top row there, because of these conveyors. So it's really interesting. Soul has air shoes, but not float shoes, and that means that these conveyors are actually a serious problem for him. But Soul realizes that, chooses to get in the field, and just says he does not need these conveyors here. And going into a race cross, he does not need to be at the front either. Ooh. Oh no, the Element Man missed. It should have been a freeze right there. That is very unfortunate for Soul. The Element Man going to Elec instead of freeze, instead of water, right? Because that gave Thiago the time to use that Wood Dragon there and squeeze out the last chips.
Well, now this does give Soul a bit of invisible short invis at the start of turn, which can be valuable to getting out defense. Though it looks like Soul, I believe, took Bubble into Elect Dragon and went into Beast out. Oh, okay, so it was Elect Dragon, Elect Pulse into Bubble.
So interesting, Soul chose not to charge that Erase Tail, choosing instead to use that Invis, but it's a slow gauge turn, so... Oh...
Down to 1 HP. Does manage to go into the next turn, so if Q-Force comes out, he can take the game. I think starting with Windrock is the wrong play there.
Yeah, that could be fatal for him. He really needs to get the Q-Force out.
But then Invis comes out.
Thiago goes to the Tomahawk and then uses his own Invis. And ending that with Judge SP. Wow, just well played to both players there. That was very unfortunate for Soul not managing to land the Element Man water, along with just the way those turns worked out for him.
Yeah. I think Thiago was able to basically take the advantage early and hold on to it and then basically go from there. So that was actually, I mean, it was a close match, even though it might seem that Thiago had the advantage. All that Sol needed was one extra turn. With that turn, he would have had more than enough damage to close off that game.
That is true. Yeah, Gregor's damage output is extremely volatile. Basically, the maximum is very high, but it just didn't pan out for him in the end. Whereas Thiago, you could see how much value he was getting out of the Buster Jam procs. Just trading into Soul over and over, even when he was Geddoned and taking erase charge shots, he managed to get one Buster Jam proc in retaliation for every single charge shot he was taking.
Yeah. Yeah, well played to both sides.
Yeah, well played.
Let's head into our next match with Salad vs Neryth.
So you can see Salad running this Bowsar A code. It is, I think it's a very combo-oriented folder. It's got the Windrax, Elect Pulse 2s, and a single Aqua Sword, which I find really interesting. It's a very sneaky Aqua Sword, actually. I feel like it's not something you expect. Since there's only one of them, the way it comes out, especially potentially on ice panels, it can lead to some very interesting combos. And the A code, of course, has excellent elemental coverage. So you see our hit 3 as well. That will be a threat to my Tomahawk. And then so this is a double fast gauge. This is very combo oriented from Salad. Wants to go into the next turns as quickly as possible and just load up more chips and continue to beat on her opponent. So double fast gauge and full cost. The rest of this is fairly on point here, except for the fact that there are 6 Navi chips, courtesy of the folder pack. So it's an interesting Navica setup, really.
I don't think you see that very often, but folder pack there is actually quite a good value. You have +1 custom, which brings Salad to custom 2 in total, and the extra Navi, which was basically a splash from Salad because her folder is low damage and, as you mentioned, relies a lot on trying to get these chip combos out. So being able to get that splash SP Navi can be very big, especially with the D-Cross.
Yeah, and you can see that what she chose to run was you just see a really high damage, potentially really high value Navi chips there. Element Man SP on top of the regular Element Man. Yeah. Spout Man SP, Ground Man SP. So the Spout Man SP and Ground Man SP, they really help to check Gregor crosses. And the Element Man SP is just a general coverage. It can do a lot of damage. And well, Salad can't fool me though. I know why this folder pack is here. If you just look at the Navicust, you can see this beautiful symmetry in the yellow Navicust parts. Alright, I can tell this is the real reason. And then I think this is the first time we've seen my setup in this this stream as well. So I carried over this folder from our last new moon cycle, and it's basically just a W code. It's very simple. It's an extremely low defense W code. It's just a rush down with 2 Geddons in it, no gauges. It has a decent amount of area grabs, but no area control, no banish or revenge, simply a single Judgment. And the only SP Navi chip I'm running is Blast Man SP, and it is a splash, it is B code, so it's very awkward to use it, but it is extremely effective against Tomahawk. And my Giga is Meteor Knuckle, so it's just even more damage and a bit of coverage versus Slash Cross. Also some panel breakage, which can help with using sudden flax in the very next turn, or just locking your opponent down. But really the key of the folder is just Geddon Gun to Souls and Geddon comboing with the rest of these chips here. All of these chips are kind of dependent on your opponent staying still or not being able to predict them. So the Bamboo Swords and Mega Boomers. With Mega Boomer, you can simply stand in the middle and your opponent will not be able to hit them. And Bamboo Swords, you really need Beast Jump in order to use them effectively, or you need to be right in front of your opponent. So they can be very awkward to use without the right conditions. But luckily Geddon and Beast, and as well as Tengu Cross, all of these help set these up very well.
Yeah, so I think this is going to be a really interesting matchup because the build that Salad's playing is on the lower end for damage, but has a lot of combo oriented chips, whereas you have basically almost no defense and very offensive build. So both rely heavily on the offense, but you have a lot more damage and less defense, which is going to be very interesting to see how that plays out against basically Pulse Rush.
Yeah, it should be an interesting set to watch.
Alright, let's go. Okay. Cool, so we see the ice start with these ice cubes. So both players are playing Falzar, so they both have the option of going into dust But for Salad, it's going to be very risky because of these 3 magnums that we see you running.
So here it is, both of us going to dust.
Ooh.
And right off the bat, Erase Man. And this is simply a confirm.
The Blast Man SP was a bit too early while Salad was still flashing from that cube, unfortunately.
Yeah, I was a little bit trigger happy with that one.
I believe that was Erase Man that went to Elite. Second cube.
So Salad started off with a 300 HP advantage, and now it's a 160 HP advantage. So you can really see the value of getting those ice cubes sucked up and using them. And it's unfortunate that Salad took that double damage Erase Man at the very start.
Ooh, and getting coming out as well. That could be very big in trying to confirm. There it is. And Gandalf Soul, even though it's fast gauge, that's still connected completely. Ooh. Now, Salt triggering Rush and going into the next turn. Salt will probably have to go into Beast Out given how many sword chips you're running.
Yeah, it is extremely risky to go into Tengu. You could eat a bamboo sword very quickly.
Though it looks like that was
I do believe both Summon Blacks have been played though.
Yeah.
So it's really just the bamboo swords that she needs to be careful of. But yeah, you can see that was a single Gundam Soul, and it still did so much damage.
Oh nice. And the D-Cross. Gandalf Soul basically pierces Invis, and that's what we saw there. And then the second Gandalf Soul coming out, though I don't think that's quite enough time to finish off the game straight away. So I was thinking about the next option. She can stay as base Mega Man, step forward, or looks like the option she's going for, which is going to Beast Out. So this combo can potentially deal a lot of damage, especially on Tomahawk, on Tengu. Then Chip Charge finishing off the game. That was a really quick match.
Yeah, Salad quickly did about 600 damage at the very end there, but it just wasn't enough, and the Beast Chip Charge did manage to finish it off.
So we saw there that Gandalf Soul is very devastating when it connects.
So we have 2 obstacles on the field once more, these super rocks, and there's a grass field, so once again, dust is very, very tempting here.
This time Sol decided to stay as baseman, play a bit safer. Nice movement, avoiding bees, and locking Saladin. Oh.
Unfortunately, the rock was slightly mistimed there.
looks like Sal's thinking about going into Tomahawk, Tengu again. But let's see if that's going to be as risky. So one thing that Sal can go for is try to come forward to deny Summon Blacks from being used, though the area grab is going to stop that. Ooh.
So Salad manages to defend against that turn 2 Meteor Nimble with maximum area grabs.
Elect Dragon comes out to let Salad know that this is anti-nav instead of the anti-damage, because these two are the only traps that Neryth is running.
So this does give Salad some defensive application here. Knowing that it's anti-damage, she can trigger it in order to waste one of my own Time Freeze chips if I choose to use one.
I guess the main one would be Summon Black.
Yeah, especially given that Salad has chosen to stay in Tengu, I believe.
Does have that full cast straight away, which will finish off the turn, wasting one of the beast out turns for Neryth. For both of these players, beast out is going to be very valuable because of how beast jumps works, allowing their attacks to basically be confirmed.
So there you see that Salad chose to use that Erase Man defensively in order to trigger the anti-navi and waste a Summon Black 3 instead of going for a double damage D-cross hit with the Erase Man. At the same time, I don't care that much about preserving Dust Cross at this point, so it wouldn't have been great value to land it to begin with.
Let's see if that fire hit. Ooh, barely missing, unfortunately. Losing Tomahawk when Beast Out runs out, that can be very big because Neryth is running 3 Bamboo Swords and 3 Emboomers, which really like to get boosted by Tomahawk. Okay, looks like we're back. Yeah, apologies for that.
That's okay, we just missed the Salad slashing me apart and comboing me with Love Style. I'm sure we don't need to see that, right?
Okay, so now we're seeing that Salad has very high HP lead, but that can go down very quickly, depending on what Neryth still has left in his folder. Okay, so Anti-Navi will deal with that. Then Sparkman SP is going to connect. That will do a lot of damage. Is that enough? That's bringing Neryth down to 1 HP. There is still the option of going into Beast Over for Neryth, but that's going to be very risky, especially with Fast Gauge, since Beast Over lasts just 1 turn. Second Magnum to limit Salad's movement, so now though looks like this might finish off the game.
You can see Salad here raising her arm in preparation to smite me.
Ooh, the Beast Over is going to come out. And Gundal Sol dealing a lot of damage. Though it was just one of them, so it wasn't quite enough damage.
Yeah, unfortunately with fast gauge turns, there isn't enough time to even use more than one Gundasol. The second Gundasol, you will lose maybe half, if not more than half the damage there. So even if I had 2 Gundasols, which I don't believe I did, it just wouldn't have been enough.
Oh no. Man finishes off the game. Yeah, so actually one thing we didn't really talk about is that you didn't run any Windrax, which is very interesting choice.
Well, I mean, the way I looked at it is that normally you want to run Windrax in order to get rid of barriers and rather get rid of Life Aura as well, but also to cover against Erase Cross. But I felt that it just wasn't necessary when I had so many chips I could chip charge as Tengu Beast, as well as a lot of my chips doing enough to destroy Life Aura or simply bypassing Life Aura.
That's a good point, and now we see that turn 1 getting coming out. Ooh, and that Gundal Sol as well. Dealing a lot of damage already, and the second one as well. Ooh.
Yeah, but you can see that this second Gundasol has not done so much damage yet. Salad will have the opportunity to either Beast or Tengu and step out of it.
Salad does have the anger due to Rush being used, but it looks like she's deciding against taking advantage of that, which is probably the correct play.
Yeah, there is not much she can use the anger with in her hand right now.
And sound like that will be stopped by the Enders. This is the last invis that Salad has in the folder, and the invis is typically very strong in fast gauge builds, so that was an interesting choice to decide to run just 2 of them.
Yeah, unfortunately Salad had both invis and anti-damage available there, so that meant that even if I had waited for the invis to come out and then tried to time freeze counter it with someone black, it would have been met with that anti-damage.
Yeah.
So Salad was very wary of Southern Black 3 coming out.
Ooh, looks like Salad decided to go for the big play with going with her Giga already. that Magnum, that was unfortunate.
So I actually had an anti-damage here, and you see me use it at the end of the turn. So I could have blocked that 640 damage, but unfortunately I, for some reason, thought that it was very important to land this Magnum.
Yeah, I mean, that decision is going to be is going to put you in a very risky position, especially seeing Salad's next hand. She has a big combo going with Beast out. And Salad's actually still flashing from that Magnum connecting, so that will give her a bit of protection against any first turn plays that might come out. Ooh, that misses, and then the second one gets a counter hit on that Gandalf sword. Now B's plus 30, though it looks like Salad isn't going into Tomahawk to Chip Charger, which is probably the better play, just to play it safe, try to go for the damage for basically less risk.
Yeah, you have to keep in mind that going to Tomahawk will make it basically broadcasted to your opponent that you're chip charging.
Ooh, and there was second hive, though B's unfortunately missed. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that was 4 hits from Meteor Knuckles.
I think that might have been 5 actually. But
Nice.
either way, that was a lot of damage coming out.
You know, both players have very low HP. Salad has the Aquaman SP. She's thinking about it or thinking about going with more defensive control play into the stand. Ooh, that life orb is going to be very big. Nice. That will deal with the anti-damage that Salad has. And now Salad has few options to go for. I don't think she has Tengu Cross to use, so she might have to throw one of her SP chips, or the only SP chip that she can throw, which is Alan's Man SP. If she's able to connect Eraseman and Judgment, that can be very big. Looks like Eraseman is going to connect. Ooh, but Judgment is going to miss because Neryth was mid-movement back. Books will deal some damage, but that second boom will bring down Salad to 1 HP and that will finish off the game.
Yeah, if that Judgeman had connected, if I wasn't buffering my movement there, then
Yeah.
Judgeman would have killed me actually, because Judgeman with those 4 books would do 180 damage. And I only had 140-ish?
Yeah, I believe so. So I think at that position, even more, I think all books would have connected, whereas when you stepped back, these broken panels protected you from 2 of them. Yeah, that was a really close match, and well played to both sides. That was really fun to watch through.
Yeah, that one was a real nail-biter to play through as well.
Alright, let's head into our next match, which is Shadow vs Symes.
So I don't think we've seen Shadows yet. So Shadow is playing this encode here. Encode has a lot of very powerful offensive chips, at the cost of not having any encode Navi chips. So in its place, you really have this Muramasa. And then Risky Honey 3s, Machine Gun 3s, Mega Boomer. Shadow only chose to run one Mega Boomer here.
Yeah, I think an interesting thing just to have in mind when making a build is comparing M code to B code. Is that they both have some similar aspects, but the gameplay for them ends up being very different.
Yes, that is true. I kind of view M code as being this classic Tomahawk-oriented code, where you get a lot of value out of being able to preserve your Tomahawk cross and being able to chip charge stuff like this and Boomer and the Risky Honey 3s. Whereas I feel B code is much more combo oriented. You're playing with not necessarily with the double damage with Tomahawk, but instead with fire, because you have Last Man SP as well at access in code, so you can pull off combos very easily with that, as well as fire hits to combo off of your boomers. So even though they have somewhat similar chips, they both have access to machine gun and Risky Honey and types of boomers. The way they play it is indeed very different, like you said. And so you see Shadow running Ground Man SP and Blast Man SP here. Just the standard anti-Gregor coverage really from the Ground Man SP. And the Blast Man SP to help against enemy Tomahawks from Falzar. And you see the setup does not have any attack stats, nor is it running Hub Batch, so this is an attack 1 setup. And it's got 1800 HP plus 2, and then just a pretty standard Falzar setup other than that. The Giga is Meteor Knuckle, and Shadow is running the fairly standard defenses of Sanctuary and Life Aura, and 3 anti-damages, but no invis. So invis can be kind of a weird chip to fit into your folder, because you have to account for Rush. Rush is only 2 spots. It's only a 2 space Navicust part, and it has a lot of value in removing the first invis and paralyzing your opponent. So I feel like a lot of the time when I'm building a folder, I think to myself, if I can't run 3 invis, I'm just not going to run any, because one's just going to get eaten by Rush. So Shadow opting to not run invis at all.
Yeah, so I think this is going to be an interesting matchup between these two builds. So Shadow's going for very heavy chip damage, whereas Symes wants to basically take the long game advantage, try to go through the turns while dealing damage over time with his charge shots and poison seed, and then finishing off maybe with the funnel force.
Yes, that's true. They have very different damage sources. Symes is playing his extremely high HP Gregor setup with attack max, so it is going to be mostly Buster from him, whereas Shadow is mostly going to be chip damage. The one thing I didn't mention, honestly just because I feel like it's so normal to see it in your folder, is the perfect setup for Super Vulcan. White Capsule, attack 30, and double point with the Super Vulcan. It's a 4-chip investment, but the potential damage of it is kind of absurd. It's a type of setup that can potentially just one-shot your opponent depending on their HP. So we'll see if Shadow can land that.
To be honest, I'd argue that the double point isn't really for Super Vulcan. It's mostly there for Risky Honey and the Grab Banish for the B Banish combo.
Yes, the cowards play. Not willing to gamble it all on your Super Vulcan. I understand, and not everyone has the guts. Not everyone has the tenacity to just throw the match onto a single chip. But yeah, so it's going to be a very interesting set, and I can't wait to see how this plays out.
Alright, let's head right into it. Okay, so we see that Shadow's already starting with all of his machine guns.
playing a bit conservatively here, choosing to just load up the first one. Probably wants to get more value out of it, destroying traps from Symes. This could be dangerous for Shadow here. It is a slow gauge on turn 1.
Unfortunately missing the eyes.
And predictable area grab. Unfortunately, Shadow doesn't have anything to respond to it with, even though you could see it coming from a mile away once the turn started.
Another area grab to deal with the anti-damage, so that was a lot of damage coming out from one turn, about 800 damage just from getting slash charge shots.
Yeah, then that's just under half of Shadow's HP, so to lose it on the first turn, that is the power of slow gauge Gregar.
Shadow staying in basement.
So I think Symes predicted both Skrana and SP and potentially area control coming from Shadow. Shadow actually did not have Vanish available or Judgment, so he's still stuck on this 2 columns to move on. Symes not managing to make these connect.
Very nice.
The rate shot, just Shadow is refusing to walk into their hypnotizing gaze.
Yeah, it's actually more difficult to avoid analogs because of how the timing works out, and if you to trigger happy with your movement, then you can end up stepping into it after fires.
Symes putting down one of his 2 holy panels here.
Ooh, unfortunately.
Oh, and he manages to dodge the wind rack, which would have decrossed him.
Yeah. Now Symes has very big HP lead with all of these erase charges landing as well. This is going to be a very rough match, or at least game for Shadow.
Yeah, those erase tails are just so powerful. The amount of damage they do, and the fact that they break aura, they break barrier 200 in a single shot, and they pierce invis while destroying any traps. Really, their biggest downside is that they can be stepped, so you can actually dodge them if you move correctly.
Ooh, nice.
Ooh. Symes has his barrier 200 to protect himself from the paralysis.
Oh,
Ooh, but he loses the rest of the barrier 200 to that Mega Boomer there.
but then yeah, Shadow had very little HP left, and then this Raceman will finish off that game.
That was a pretty rough match for Shadow there. That was just there's just so much HP to work through from Symes. And there's so much passive damage coming out from Symes. It's definitely a difficult situation, especially under slow gauge.
Ooh, so it looks like Symes is starting with SoulXCross, though with these ice panels it might be a bit difficult to confirm a hit. And decross, that was really unfortunate. Let's see if Shadow is able to get counter hit with rubies or the machine gun.
Ooh, does manage to land 3 of those machine gun, 3 hits. Symes was a little bit late in releasing that charge shot and getting the invulnerability from it.
Yeah, I think he might have been trying to be careful of getting counter hit.
Yeah, that's true. That's a really big risk with trying to do a charge shot around machine gun.
Now Shadow going into spot trying to decross, though Shadow does have no attack, attack plus part, so this is going to be purely for utility, maybe trying to get some advantage out of these ice panels.
Cross canceling here will also let him avoid the charge tackle here. Ooh, but Symes goes to the Eli.
Judgment Connect which will enable machine guns, though. Ooh, I'm not really sure why Shadow held onto that. Yeah.
Ooh, and losing the machine gun 3 as well to the decross.
Okay, there we see double point plus 30 and that super Vulcan. The only part we're missing is the white capsule if Shadow decides to go for it.
The interesting thing is, I believe we haven't seen the Eraseman EX or SP from Symes yet, so the anti-navi could also be good value here.
Yeah, though he wants to be careful to avoid losing his Giga to a TFC, so he's taking that.
Yeah. Oh no, that's the opposite.
Thinking about it.
First time Shadow. Oh no. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you got it right the first time.
Oh, nice.
Ooh, and yeah, Shadow waiting out the life aura there. Just a smart option. Oh wow, was that one hit?
Yeah. Which is, I think, about average actually on using it on the middle.
That's it's extremely unfortunate though that this Giga only ended up doing 1 hit because of the center panel.
Yeah, and then normally it wouldn't be as bad if you're able to get some utility out of the broken panels, but all that did was really just break the holy panel. Shadow wasn't able to get use out of locking Symes in. But now we see the potential Muramasa coming out. And Anti-Navi there could actually help confirm that if Symes starts with an Eraseman. Ooh.
Oh!
There's no Tomahawk left, but looks like Shadow is going for that double point B-Banish combo and leaving that poor Super Vulcan behind.
I mean, the Super Vulcan is still usable with the white capsule, so at the very least there's that, but it does look like this is going to be the B-Banish. Ooh! Oh, and it's a counter hit too!
Does a lot of damage and being able to gain all the area back, though if Q-Force comes out from Symes, that will still be a lot of damage, and there it is! Bring them
Both
down.
players dropping really big combos this turn.
Empty Navi will get the Raceman SP.
Uh-oh.
Ooh. This is going down to the wire. That's going to be a very close match. Symes does have undershot, so if Shadow is able to mash faster than Symes, then a single buster shot will finish the game off. Ooh! There it was on the beast jump.
I think that was every member of the Erase family coming out to play.
Now we're heading into game 3. And we see that slash cross start again.
Double area grab into Symes slow gauge.
Shadow is able to block area grabs from landing. That can be very big, and
Yep, Symes playing smart, waiting to confirm that area control. Again, this is gonna be a lot of damage. Another, yeah, 800 on turn 1.
that's devastating, dealing that much damage basically for free. Unfortunately, Shadow simply didn't really have anything to deal with it. Ooh, though it looks like now he's thinking about going into Tomahawk, which will give him some way of fighting back, or at least trying to get defensive play with bees, trying to get counter hit with that.
That's an interesting decision. I don't think he loaded in the banish. Choosing to save it for the banish combo possibly. But it is very risky against the slash cross lock like this.
Okay, so Raceman coming down will give Shadow some time while Symes is paralyzed and will have to reset his charge time. Nice, getting all 4 hits actually. And Rush coming out. Ooh.
Oh, this will both block the... Oh yeah, so
Yeah.
Symes chooses to just not even bother there. It would only increase the damage he takes in return.
I mean, overall that turn wasn't that bad for Shadow. Shadow was able to land in some damage, only took 1 charge shot, which is 160 damage, so that actually turned out pretty well. Ooh, now we see very defensive turn with starting with Life Arrow to try to deny Raceman EX or normal Raceman.
Ooh, so this was the correct play from Shadow here. Both players going into the counter for the cross they were just facing.
Though losing Tomahawk Cross can be rough for Shadow, losing the ability to chip charge the Risky Honeys and Emblem that he still has.
It's true, but as you can see, he was not about to pull any more wood chips anytime soon. So it looks like it was the right call.
Ooh, so going to see him starting with Sanctuary and then going straight into full cost.
Ooh, so this is interesting here. Will he instantly full cast?
Looks like he is.
Yeah, they're
Symes just mashing his chips out and that one rack at the end there, so actually that's really interesting.
Oh! So yeah, so this actually stops Symes from being able to beast. If he wants this wind rack to carry through and deal with the holy aura going on, he is not going to be able to cancel it by going into beast. He's stuck in the erase cross essentially for this next turn, unless he has another answer.
Yeah, and if he decides to go into beast, he can't just chip charge because of the holy aura. It's requiring 400 damage to be done to remove it. So
yeah, he would need to first destroy these holy panels, and I'm not sure if he has an option in his hand for that. Wow, so that timing was very good for Shadow. This severely limits Symes' offensive plays this turn.
going into the next turn, Shadow's thinking about going into Tomahawk, maybe taking that wind rack to try to get a D-cross. So it looks like he's keeping it for now.
So Symes opts to keep this wind rack.
Oh, nice. I think the play there for Shadow might have been to just take charge off for free and then move away from the anti-damage that would come out from Symes. He should have had enough time to avoid it while Symes is stuck in his charge off animation.
Actually, is Symes going to be able to protect this anti-damage?
Yeah. So the way the anti-damage works is that it activates after your animation ends, so after you go back into the resting Mega Man position. So now if Symes is going to cross cancel or go into beast out, then he will keep the anti-damage that he has up.
Ooh, so you see, Shadow knows what's coming. It's a very predictable erase beast turn coming up. Yeah, but Shadow here is in Tengu, so he's thinking, what if I counter it with my own Tengu beast? And that would turn the match, essentially. It would turn the tables on Symes.
Looks like Shadow starting with anti-navi, maybe trying to get an erase man on Symes. Ooh. Oh no, he mistimed that for grass, and then that Muramasa unfortunately misses. And Q-Force coming out, and I think that might be... oh, that was enough damage to finish off that game.
Wow, so that Folcus turn severely limiting Symes' offensive options, but on the very next turn he basically got like the opposite situation where he just had this perfect opportunity to go into an extremely offensive turn and go into Erase Beast there. So very well played to both sides there.
Yeah, that was a really fun match, but now we're going to be heading into our second to last match, which is luckytyphlosion vs Salad.
So I believe we have seen both setups already.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to say, playerzero?
I mean, so we saw how Salad wants to try to go with comboing with chip charges. But
Yeah, the beast pulse wind rack combos, the whiskey honey, the aqua sword, basically just this really wide elemental coverage that can come out really quickly during beast turns. And you see Lucky's his Lucky's lucky buster up Greg, right?
Yeah.
With the attack 4 setup in Gregor. I think it's kind of a tough matchup here for Lucky. Because there's just a lot of coverage for the elements that he might want to go into. The risky honey can get rid of Elec, right? The damage doesn't really get amplified that much, but the D-Cross will hurt, considering how effective Elec Cross tends to be. Aqua Sword is going to knock off both heat and charge. The Spoutman SP is also another huge threat, right? That you don't want to take that 720 damage from it. And then the Wind Racks. 3 Wind Racks means that Elec or that E-Race is not safe either. And finally, Groundman SP also covers Slash. So there's very few safe options for Lucky here. So I want to wonder, and I want to question what his cross game is going to be in this matchup.
Yeah, especially with how the gauges, what was sometimes called the gauge war, is going to play out, because Lucky only has 1 slow gauge, whereas Solid has 2 fast gauges, and one of them is right, so she can just basically take free control of which gauge will be in any given turn.
Yeah, this really gives the advantage to Salad here in terms of gauges, having 2 fast gauge option, because that means if Salad thinks, well, normal gauge works out okay for me, then Salad can just sit on that fast gauge, keep it in her hand, and then Lucky is going to be pressured to use a slow gauge first. And the thing is that if you don't, the slow gauge isn't wrecked. He's just going to have to pull it. So with Cust 3, it is going to be more likely that he gets it soon, but if he doesn't pull it immediately, if he pulls it maybe second or third turn and then he uses it, then it's possible that Salad might just be sitting on 2 fast gauges to begin with. There's just and that other fast gauge is just going to be a beast charge, right? So that's going to be even more damage coming out against Lucky. So this is a kind of a sticky situation. We'll see how these turns play out for him.
Alright, let's head right into it. Okay, so we see them starting with ice field or partial ice and these ice cubes, which makes it more likely that Solid will go into dust turn 1.
Yeah, so Lucky is thinking about it, and he's going, well, I could erase Magnum, maybe erase Magnum, summon black.
Yeah, so Solid knows that Lucky is running 2 Magnums, and she is going to be careful of them, and maybe take an invis to start with. So Lucky does have Crush, so Solid Solid having 2 invis in her folder might make them more limited in use.
And I think Lucky is maybe just looking at Salad's folder and also coming to the same conclusion that there's so few safe options here. But maybe judging that the value here from going into erase, it might outweigh the potential cons.
So it looks like he's taking slow gauge turn 1, which I don't think is the ideal play, because holding on to that before turn 2 might be better with beast out. And ooh, nice.
Oh! The damage there is insane. That the counter hit as well into the boosted Risky Honey. So Lucky managed to at least get the D-Cross. But how does Summon Black goes to waste, and he's gonna have to use the slow gauge. Oh no! That's a ×2 base anomaly.
Ooh.
It's gonna leave Lucky with 1 HP. I think Salad might be able to close it out.
Yes, if Sol just
no.
goes into
Oh.
beast out.
Oh no, so Lucky's his flashing wore off at the very end there, but Salad chose not to align herself and do a P shot to finish it off. So this does give Lucky a second chance here. He has a recovery 300 in his hand. He has some defense. It's possible that he could tough this turn out. Ooh, and a second recovery 300, but he's going to be forced to waste some of his defensive chips and some of his chips from that turn if he chooses to use it here. So is that going to be the play?
Looks like it is, yeah. So interestingly, from Salad's point of view, it might look like that Lucky basically kept his hand, because usually you'd want to take both recoveries at the same time, so using one and then the other straight away afterwards.
That is true, yeah. having both recoveries like that, it is gonna look like he just kept his hand. But this is very dangerous for Lucky still, even with 600 HP. Ooh.
And the second
now fast gauge.
Yeah. At least Element Man SP coming out does tell us that Salad is running E-code into the stand. Ooh, nice timing connecting with the Erase Man.
And Invis during fast gauge, there's no easy way for Lucky to deal with this. I don't think he has any tools to deal with this. He does have defense in his hand though, so he might want to just go with a life aura turn. But at the same time, he just doesn't have that freedom because of Tengu. So the value from the life aura is really just going to be to potentially block a Navi chip or a time freeze chip.
Okay, so it looks like he's going with Sanctuary.
Yeah, Lucky just weighing all of his defensive options. And there's nothing really great standing. Oh.
Ah, that does connect.
Ooh. And that was I think a 280 damage wind rack. And you can just see the elemental coverage coming out, and it's really restricting Lucky's options here. So he's just gonna go into Erase. It does have the most synergy with his folder. He can't get the chip boosting properties on anything else.
It looks like
this really. Salad chooses to remain in base form here, probably predicting the cursor chips.
But she also uses Rush to get anger, so she might have an SP Navi play that she's waiting on. Ooh.
Yeah, this will be an anger play with Life Aura to boot, so there's no easy way to stop it. The way this worked out is, this could be potentially very bad for Lucky. I could see a ×2 Element Man SP Grass remove the Sanctuary while also doing 480. Okay, so it was just an Element Man. And it does get eaten by 50 damage, but that is still very good for Salad here.
So it's good to have the follow-up with Erase Man SP as well. Ooh.
Gunman SP does come out and do a hefty bit of damage. And Lucky has no answer to this Life Auras.
Oh.
Just
that TFC chain means that I believe Fast Gauge was the one used at the end, which is the one going to stay into the next turn, at least if Salad doesn't have her second Fast Gauge.
Was it Fast Gauge at the very end? That would be tragic for Lucky. Oh no, it is. But wow. Even dodging the wind rack.
And then getting counter hit as well. What a turn.
There's so much happening so quickly,
Yeah.
and the way that all these chips are coming out, I feel like the game is glitching. Just suddenly counter hits and all this. I can't even keep up. The beast jump into counter hit.
Sword has that 2x into
Oh!
Aqua Sword. And then Erase
That's
Man.
gonna be it. And that the ice cube at the very end, dying along with Lucky here. Oh wow! So now we see what Salad's folder can do.
Yeah.
I feel like it wasn't shown very clearly in the last set with me versus Salad, but you can see just how much damage it can punch out in those turns, and the counter hit potential as well.
Yeah, and we saw an interesting interaction, I believe, with Collision, where Lucky was pulled into Salad having Life Aura, which dealt a bit more damage on him in that turn where everything happened, basically.
That was a crazy set, and that last match especially, just the double beasts jumping into each other and just the counter hits and all the damage coming out and the times two. That is that is something.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to watch that myself. Like, just I'm really curious to see how everything turned out in those turns. That was really hard to keep up with.
Yeah. But yeah, so now we're going to be heading into our final match for the stream, which will be Neryth vs playerzero. Okay, so this is going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen any of your matches yet.
That is true, yeah.
So I think we've already talked about my setup. It's just this W code, extremely offensive. And then we have player zero's setup on the other hand. So it is an 1800 HP Falzar setup. It has undershirt, bug stop, beat, shield. The shield is a very big thing here. It does allow a lot of defensive options, even from a neutral position, and while trying to fish for counter hits potentially, or just trying to make anger plays.
Yeah,
and yeah, go ahead.
I believe Shield has also an interesting interaction with Gandersol in that it's able to block some of the damage dealt by Gandersol.
Yeah, so there are certain frames. The frames where Shield is active and hitting it would lead to a blocked hit. During those frames, Gandersol does not do damage to the target. So Shield does mitigate some of the damage from Gandersol. So at the very least, you're not a sitting duck, even if you get caught by getting Gandersol. So there's the defensive application there. And the rest of you see this folder. I like the neo variable sword splash out there. The style from that. Aqua Dragons, Bubble Star 3s, and then so yeah, it is S code. Means you get /man SP encode as well as just decide as grab banish. I mean, so I can see Aqua chip charge here because there's the Aqua Dragons. It goes from 120 to 240. The Bubble Star 3s, I believe that goes from 100 to 200.
Yeah.
That is enough to break Life Aura or eat a barrier 200 in my case as well. So Aqua might be the play that we see here. Yeah. And it is a hub batch folder, so you're missing the damage, the giga damage there, but you get a lot of utility.
Especially with Ice Field, with Aqua Dragon being able to set up the ice, allowing SoulXCross to deal 2 charge shots, which can be a lot of damage, especially with how quickly Spout adds up damage.
So was that your thought process with the build that you were going for?
Yeah, so that was one of the things, but also Hub Batch I thought would be very useful in playing against Baghdad Thunder, forgetting a shield again, or playing against Gregor that is heavy with Geddon, giving another option for air shoes.
You know what? That's an interesting point you just brought up. I don't think we had a single Baghdad Thunder this Blood Moon.
Yeah.
So yeah, you did bring the famed double shield setup, which is effective against Baghdad Thunder. But there were no Baghdad Thunders to block, sadly.
Well,
but yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, so I was just saying that we could see some value coming out from denying the 2 Geddons that you have and the 3 Magnums to destroy panels. So Habach can still be very much valuable in this matchup.
Yeah, especially considering you do have access to shield, so being able to have air shoes and shield at the same time, that's something to keep in mind. But yeah, I'm interested to see how this set plays out. Let's go right into it.
Alright, here we go. So we already see very potentially offensive start with Magnum and the 2 Gandalfs straight away.
So the obvious play here is just to get in the souls right off the bat.
Oh yeah, and one thing I don't think we mentioned is that Bubble Star can actually interrupt Gandalfs, allowing 2 extra hits if in Beast out, or 1 extra hit in Beast out.
That is true. Yeah, the Bubble Stars are a potential counter to Gundam Soul.
Okay, so it looks like we have turn on Getting Start. Ooh, 1 hit from these risky Hemi.
Ooh, and you see already the shield being used to mitigate a little bit of that damage. Area grab, popping the anti-damage. Oh, so it's going to spawn a second set of bees here that you can already see. Unfortunately, this is the honey one, so the damage from the bees isn't great, but it is something.
And it was more defensive play in blocking the anti-damage as well, stopping the damage.
So I was really curious here to see if the bees would target me correctly, and I got a chance to see that because of this erase man here. The bees finish off the Neo Variable Sword.
The double life sword miss. So the way Beast Jump works with Neovari is going for double life sword will put you in front of the opponent, which can make it more likely to miss, which was in this situation. If that connected
Neo Variable. That was a very close call. That would have been at least 440 damage if the first hit landed.
So in that position, maybe going for the supersonic beam, which would have been confirmed there, might have been the better play. Just to go.
Yeah, you gotta remember the flashy double life sword is not always the best.
We see 3 bonus, so maybe Tomahawk is going to come out this turn especially with the two wood swords as well.
So there's a couple of things to think through here. The first one is, will going to Tomahawk make it too predictable, right? Because if you camp the center, then these Mega Boomers have no value whatsoever. And the other thing to consider is just that, do I even need to go into Tomahawk? Should I even charge these at all? Because you are low, 644 HP. It might be enough to simply just land the Mega Boomers without charging them, because you don't have any recoveries in your folder.
Yeah. And these wood swords can punish if I decide to go into Tengu Cross, try to back me and deal with the life aura. Seems like Ground Cross might be coming out and just 2 of the boomers instead of taking all 3. I believe the second one ended up missing, unfortunately. The option of going into anti-navi, maybe to deny D-cross or slash man SP. I don't think we've seen that already. I don't think I've used hub batch yet, so I don't have Ursha's option if you decide to go with Magnum into Gandalfsol, for example.
In the end, I think it looks like, yeah, I'm gonna make this a Meteor Knuckle turn. Ooh, it gets 5-4.
And the anti-navi does come out to protect from a D-cross.
Yeah, having already used Tengu, I believe.
They did have batch already. But for you, your only option really is to use Blast 1 SP or maybe Summon Blacks to try to deal with that life aura.
Yeah, but at this point I'm thinking, do I have enough frames to confirm this Summon Black? Because if you step forward, it would just eat it. And there would be no other way to 100% confirm that the life aura is out with this turn. So I'm taking this area grab first and just kind of hoping that you don't manage to buffer a movement forward, and that your charge shot will continue for enough frames that the area grab will come out. So I'm really just thinking, can I confirm this area for myself so that you can't block the Summon Black?
Looks like there was enough time to block it, and then the Summon Black coming out straight away to deal with it.
Ooh, so the double damage blast, man. It's gonna be 240 to D-cross, and I lose the double damage on this Mega Boomer. Ooh, and now you see the Aqua recovery plus these ×2 Aqua chips coming out. So the HP value is suddenly very, very close, 532, 376.
But you do have that Blast 1 SP, and if that's able to connect on grass, that would be a lot of damage. So unfortunately, you don't really have any way of confirming 4 of the remaining chips that you have. These wood swords without Beast Over, you don't really have any way of allowing them to hit.
Ooh, this anti-damage blocks the Blast Man SP. That would have been 500 damage.
There is still Spout doing some damage, bringing me down to 226 HP. Ooh! Flashman SP coming out, doing some damage.
Ooh. So I think the flashing wore off for me just at the very end there. That bubble star was very close, but you did get the recovery from it.
Beast Over is looking very tempting, especially knowing that this is basically the end of your folder. These are the last chips you're going to have. Ooh. First one connect, signal missed. Third one does connect, and then the Gundles are barely missing. Down to 6 HP. Beast Over coming out from my side. Single Buster Shot would be more than enough to finish off the game. Oh, but it doesn't come out, and then the game freezes there.
So were you out of chips at this point?
I believe so, yeah. I don't think I had anything left. Then that Magnum finishes off the game.
That was a very close game one. Coming down to double Beast Over essentially, and then just 1 HP on both of us.
End up being Beast Over, not being able to connect a single shot. Even if staying in normal baseman might have been better just to try to get in a Buster Shot.
Yeah, that is true.
Heading on to game 2, and then we see already Magnum and potential Gundersol or Bamboo Sword.
Double area grab. Oh, Slashman SP. It's gonna be a decent chunk of damage here. 340. Beat takes away Spoutman, but there's this Gundam Soul still.
That Gundersol actually doing decent amount of damage given the movement would have been enough to just avoid that.
Yeah, and then in the end you did end up pathing into me, so the collision, I believe, knocked off your anti-damage.
Yeah. But now it looks like Neryth is deciding to go for more defensive play with Life Aura, which is one of the few defensive chips that you're running.
Ooh, or a lie. So the interesting thing here is with Bamboo Swords and Mega Boomers is that they kind of cover for each other. You can't be safe from one while also being safe from the others. At the very least, it's very difficult.
Ooh. And the last man that really has.
Oh no! This removes the Bamboo Swords and the Mega Boomer's ability to destroy the Life Aura at all. So it's basically just a wasted turn there. And you see, in order to get any value out of it, I would have to go into Tengu here. But I would still be missing the ×2 at this point.
And it looks like he decided to go into Blast One, just throw that away into the Life Aura. Ooh.
And the Erase Man doesn't even connect here.
Then single Buster Shot finishing off that very quick game too. Now we're heading into our final game.
So yeah, we got to see exactly what happens when the Neo Variable Sword connects and knocks me out of Tengu. The sheer amount of damage there.
Starting with Cubes Field, and we do see that Magnum into Eraseman, so this could be a very good start if you're able to get a D-Cross. Especially because either of them connecting might be able to basically confirm Cubes landing as well. Giving you
Yes, this is potentially an extremely high damage start.
Losing Eraseman to beat, and then that Magnum unfortunately being used too early. Oh no, that was
a Judge Man, which I had planned to throw away there.
Nice.
So the Erase Man does connect, but so the Splash Bomb is blinding me here, causing me quite a bit of grief. But luckily, Dust is not very important to my build. So even getting this this one turn of the Trash Tube is honestly enough for me.
The one thing to point out is that Beast Out doesn't jump if you're blinded or confused, so...
Yeah, at this point I was just thinking about my options here. Even though I have a decent assortment of chips here, the fact that you're already in Beast means I can't do Gundos or Get In confirmed.
Yeah.
And so I decide Tomahawk is a lot more appealing here. Just to get rid of the blind and be able to play defensively more effectively. Ooh, and yeah, I can see that you're right to the back here. You do get an area advantage here over me. Ooh, and this was a missed input here. I think it was because I tapped the key while I was moving, so it didn't end up charging. It was just used immediately. Although with this this rush in the center here, I'm not sure the Mega Boomer would have any value anyways.
Now we see two area grabs, which might make it easier to try to connect with the Boomer. Or even gain access to these broken panels, maybe for Summon Black Play, though that seems a bit unlikely.
Yeah, those broken panels are a bit too far. Although another play I can see happening here is Tengu. I do still have... Well, no, it would have to be... Yeah, so this is just going to be an attempt to get you to move into the Mega Boomers. You do step back to avoid the Tomahawk Chop. And this... Doing so again, lets me confirm this area grab here. Ooh, and the Mega Boomer, the charge Mega Boomer coming out the end of the turn, it might restrict your movement a little bit here. But I do believe I lost my barrier 200 to your machine guns. But I see here there's a really good turn because your movement is a bit restricted because of this Mega Boomer, and at the same time you just lost Beast, so you probably want to get air shoes again. So it was an easy prediction to see that you probably wanted to go into Tengu.
Ooh, chip charging the Gundam Salt.
And here you see I still have 2 more sword options to knock you out of Tengu, although there's also the possibility that you simply get out of Tengu here because there are no unbroken panels. Even without Tengu's air shoes, you can still move across the broken panels. But regardless, I think just using these sword chips here is the safe bet. Getting 520 damage from Summon Black 3 or 600 damage from Bamboo Sword would be a huge swing. Oh, but there's a Spout Cross.
So you do have anti-damage, so that might be able to protect you against the bubble coming out.
So the Summon Black 3 was just a little bit late there. The panels had just regenerated. The charged Bamboo Sword does connect. But your own Wind Rack also connects and knocks me back here. But here you are locked in the charge shot animation. I don't have a paralysis chip to take advantage of this. I don't have anything to lock you here.
But you do have that life aura queued up because that charge shot at the end of turn gave you flashing basically for free, since that charge shot doesn't really do that much damage.
Ooh. So I do lose it. I do not use the life aura in time here. So the Blast Man connects and does double damage.
But now your Elements Man will connect and decross.
Both decross each other on this turn and take double damage. The Spoutman connects for the 150 damage. Ooh, and so this Flash Bomb. And I believe you still have at least 1 Wind Rack available. Yeah, I think you've only used 1. So there is a probability that I am going to get Wind Racked to remove this Life Auras, and then the Flash Bomb will detonate. But it doesn't look like I have any options to deal with that other than the Blast Man SP.
Leading into Aqua Dragon, though unfortunately this went. I think that missed.
I don't think you were out of the invis yet.
Yeah. But we do see that Blastman SP, if that's able to connect, then that would be a lot of damage. 500 damage, basically with 1 chip.
Ooh, but you cross out of the Tomahawk there. That was a nice Sonic Boom. Oh, the Blast Man SP does connect.
Gibbs coming down to the wire. 4 HP at the end there. I think Buster Shot might be coming out to bring me down to 1 HP, so Gundersoul would be very hard to avoid. But looks like both sides going into Beast Over. Going down to Beast Over again, though you do have a bit more HP, which will give you a bit more of buffer to survive.
And I do have this Mega Boomer here.
And that Boomer finishes off that game.
Yeah, well played to both players there.
Yeah, that was a really fun match to play.
That was very, very close, both the first and the third games.
Yeah.
Both of us coming down to double Beast Over.
Yeah, so I think this is going to be one of the interesting things that we're going to see in Blood Moon. So this was the round robin stage, which means that starting from Monday, we're going to have Top Cut, which is going to involve all the players. So everyone from round robin is going to transition into the Top Cut, and then the results from round robin will decide seeding. So we're going to be seeing how players adapt their play. They basically most of the players had a chance to play each other, so they will be able to adapt and learn the different matchups, try to improve
Yeah,
them.
definitely that is one of the more interesting parts of Blood Moon, is the fact that in the Top Cut, players will have all played each other once before, so everyone will have a chance to make adaptations to figure out, maybe review their match and figure out exactly what they could have done differently, how they want to approach the matchup, coming back to it a second time. And so especially with something like Get in Gundam Soul, right? There's a lot of mind gaming involved with when do I need air shoes? When is Geddon going to come out? And then how are the rest of these chips going to be used? What basically what kind of defensive plays do I need to do in order to block this damage and then counterattack? So it's very interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing how everyone makes their adaptations against my setup, and seeing whether or not it's still effective. That was one of my goals with entering Blood Moon using this setup. So it looks like it'll be a lot of fun.
Alright, it sure will be. So this is going to mark the end of the stream, so thank you everyone for watching, hope you've enjoyed it, and again, as a reminder, we will be doing the Top Cut stage throughout the next week, which will end with a stream, or maybe 2 streams even, on the next weekend, so make sure to tune in for that. And yeah, thank you Neryth for joining me on commentary, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, thanks again, playerzero, for being here for commentary and for hosting the stream, and as well as Salad for helping with production and for organizing the tournament and for everything really, and as well as all of the participants. Thank you for playing, and we'll see you in Top Cut.
Alright, we're going to see you next week. Goodbye.